Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be testing the RTX 4090 on Alan Wake 2. At first, I'm going to be checking it out at 4K with DLSS set to quality. We've got frame generation on, and then we're going to play with everything maxed out, so all the settings are either ultra or high. Ray tracing preset is also high here, set to, so that's full. This is full ray tracing here, so path tracing. We've got ray reconstruction on too, so DLSS 3.5 is what I'll be checking out first, and that's all the settings there, so let's have a look. Okay, so we'll play through it a little bit with these settings. Looking like we're getting above 60 at the moment, around about 70 FPS by the looks of it, 70 to 80, something like that. What's this here? It's a map.
I think I hear someone.
I do think there'll probably be a kind of, from what I've seen so far, a little bit of variation in the FPS. I know in some areas it can give you quite a lot lower FPS, closer to 60, and then in some other areas we can push almost as much as 90 FPS with these settings. Obviously VRAM's is quite high with these. Even if we switched off DLSS and everything here with ray tracing, probably should expect that to increase by 2 or 3 gig more, so looking at more like 18 gigs of VRAM, which is obviously a lot. We do have 24 on this card though, so not an issue for this, but probably going to be an issue for some cards, especially if you're trying to run ray tracing.
I'm Deputy Mulligan. I just figured that, you know, that
Power as well on the GPU is obviously quite high here, 380 to 390. If we went native 4K, I'm guessing we'd probably be using 420, 430, something like that potentially. Very similar performance really to Cyberpunk from what I've seen so far. But the game graphically I think does look very good. I think for the most part too, from what I've seen from the ray reconstruction in this game, because we've not really seen it in many games, we've only obviously got it in Cyberpunk.
I want to see the body. How do we get there?
It looks a lot better in this game from what I've seen.
Just through the hole in the fence, down the hill towards the lake, around the old convenience store.
Even at the lower DLSS presets, I think the image quality is a lot better than what it is in Cyberpunk. It can look super AI generated in Cyberpunk, especially at the lower DLSS presets. Where in this, that doesn't really seem to be a problem.
Before we get to the crime scene, there's time to
consistency, the actual, the frame time looks quite nice. Not really getting any crazy stuttering or anything like that. A little bit there between kind of cutscenes where it jumps in and out of cutscenes like this. That it seems to stutter a little bit, especially in the jump scares as well. I've seen it stutter a little bit. Up here, we're probably going to get slightly higher FPS. I think as we go further down to the crime scene in the more dense forest area with the lighting, I think it probably drops off frames a bit.
You're a better detective than I am. You've cracked cases that had the rest of us baffled. I don't want to slow you down.
Are you thinking of retiring?
Kind of roughly, I know what we expected really, though, especially from the requirements of this game, we kind of knew it was going to be a tough thing to run. Without DLSS 3, it's pretty much, I would say, a no-go. With everything maxed out, at least, with path tracing and everything.
You okay to jump down?
It's pretty much the same as Cyberpunk.
Up a tarp?
So yeah, as we get down into this bit, I should imagine we see our frames already seeing it down to 64 here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see under 60. Potentially 62. I'm now going to take a look at 4K native. So if we switch this back up there, we'll switch frame generation off. So we've got 4K native here. I'm going to play with everything completely maxed out. So we've got everything on ultra or high still. Ray tracing preset obviously is maxed out still. We'll switch off ray reconstruction. So yeah, this is going to be really tough to run, but we'll see what it's like. Right, so FPS here at native is, yeah, a lot lower. 24, 25 FPS. It's absolutely brutal.
The facts are on the board. Everything we know about the previous murders. Worth taking another look.
Obviously going to get slightly higher frames in an area like this. You can see just above 30. Still, I mean, still so low, but...
I see you're already hard at work, Anderson.
It's, you know, it's impressive it can actually even do this, I guess, but it's not going to be really be playable at this. It's definitely consistent around, like, the 20 to 30 FPS mark, but it's not really going to be ideal
Hey, Casey.
to play through it like this.
Why now?
Look, Anderson, you're a better detective.
VRAM's obviously up a little bit, about a gig to a gig and a half. It's actually not as... It didn't increase as much as I thought it would. I thought it'd be maybe 2 gig or maybe even a little bit more.
You know what happens to cops
Power, obviously, we kind of guessed about that, 420 to 430. It's hitting actually almost 440, so it's pretty much maxed out on that. Power-wise, obviously with a TDP of 450.
You okay to jump down?
I'm not that old.
CPU usage looks like it's actually... it's probably around about the same, maybe slightly lower. I mean, we're hitting 6%. We're about 10% before, weren't we? So yeah, although it's low, definitely seems... I mean, our actual 0.1% lows are actually not that bad compared to what our FPS is. So, although we're getting low FPS, it's pretty consistent around that. It's not got any huge FPS drops. I think overall the game's actually optimized pretty well. Although it's hard to run. The actual playability and smoothness of it it's actually pretty good. I don't think I've got any complaints in terms of that. Obviously, I'd like to see maybe I'd be able to get a little bit higher. Oh, well, what's happening here? This ain't good. Okay, so there does seem like there's a little bit of an issue in playing it native. I'm guessing it's to do with path tracing. We saw that like weird ink-like expansion of the lighting when I hit certain areas. I never noticed that before, but if I switch DLSS on and ray reconstruction, it seems to fix it straight away. So if I switch that on and off, it then fixes it. So guessing, I wonder if anyone else has experienced that when playing native. I mean, I guess a lot of people probably aren't playing this native. I've seen issues like that before, though. Normally an issue with VRAM. But we're not maxed out here, so I think maybe it's an issue with it rendering the lighting or something like this.
Now the body's behind the store. Come on.
In certain areas. It seems like. Holding above at the 20, though, don't seem to... Well, we're hitting 20 now. Are we going to get any below 20 at all? I think we should just about maybe hold it. I know this area here is probably the most demanding area.
The UFO cover-ups.
Now this is the scene of the crime.
There it is, 19 FPS.
Now we didn't touch nothing, you know, procedures and...
See, look, it's happening again. You see it?
Thanks, Deputy.
No tarp. You owe me a coffee.
Okay.
It's got to be with
Let's
the
start by
way
examining our Afterburner.
the ray
Is this
tracing
the
is
MO of
working.
the previous murders?
I wonder if I go into settings. I wonder if I just switch off ray tracing altogether. Yeah, it sorts it out. It's got to be some issue there. Switch it back on, and then it's okay for a while.
Step 1.
And then it kind of goes again. Okay, I'm now just going to test 4K native, but without ray tracing, just to... we've got everything maxed ultra or high still, but ray tracing switched off. So we put that off here. So these settings off here, no DLSS or anything like that. Should get pretty good frames. Okay, now I thought we'd get I thought we'd be getting more frames than this, at least over 60.
Any idea who
Not
the
quite.
victim is?
Oh, I sure
Even
do.
holding over 50, really. Still using a lot of power, over 400 watts still. 16 gigs of VRAM.
Until now.
Still overall a pretty heavy game.
Oh, yes. You probably know him. Brothers in arms. Oh.
So we seem to only drop about 20 to 30 FPS by switching path tracing on. I thought we'd probably gain a bit more and be at least over 60, but...
So you knew our victim?
Well, I didn't recognize him in his current state. But yeah, I ran into him a few times at Quantico. Never worked any cases
At
together.
least in this area. You'll probably get some areas like the town and stuff, you'd easily get over 60 with these settings, but in the kind of demanding, dense forest areas, I think you'd probably struggle to get over 60.
So what happened to Nightingale after the Bureau let him go?
I only know the rumors.
But then we could have a look with DLSS and frame generation on here. So if we put that to quality, put frame generation on, we've still obviously got ray tracing and stuff off. That should increase our frames by quite a lot. So yeah, almost 120 FPS.
No happy ending.
So it over doubles the frame rate.
Nightingale went missing 13 years ago, 2010.
The same as all the other victims.
Certainly fits the pattern. Makes me wonder.
I don't
what
notice
was going on
too
out
much
here.
difference in image quality either. I'd say maybe there's a slight difference in the sharpness of the image when you've got DLSS on, but it's really not that bad. I think for pretty much most people, you probably wouldn't notice at all.
Not sure.
Especially if you're a little bit further from your screen. I really don't think you'd notice. But like I said previously, I'm not sure there's really any much value to be having over 100 FPS in a game like this. It's kind of nice, but because it's so slow paced, I really don't think there's too much benefit of that. I think if you can hit 60, then I think overall the experience is okay.
Robert Nightingale. I'm gonna go check something out.
Obviously, that does drop power down quite a bit, though. Looking at 50 to 60 watts, it drops by switching DLSS and frame generation on. We were still at about 410, I think. So I think overall, even without the ray tracing, it's still quite a demanding game to run. Let's see what our total frames we can get is when, if we switch this, say, down to ultra performance, so the lowest preset on DLSS, so we've got frame generation on, and then if we get path tracing back on and everything, so we've got ray reconstruction on, with everything completely maxed. So this is obviously the most, with everything maxed, this is the kind of most frames you could push, which looks about the same FPS as what we had at 4K native without ray tracing. Not native, sorry, when we had DLSS quality and frame generation without ray tracing at 4K. But noticeably worse image, definitely. A little bit blurrier than some of the other presets. But it's obviously brought everything down. VRAM's down by 2 or 3 gig. Power's down again a little bit more, under 350. Not really terrible image quality, but you definitely lose the kind of... It loses its edge when you switch down to the ultra performance. You know, similar to other games.
Research online, and I know how to keep confidential.
That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the game, and I'll catch you in the next one.